Reliving the Madness is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards. Welcome back to Reliving the Madness on Your View. I'm your host, Jon Schaeffer. It is my pleasure to be joined by Jon Fanta from Fox Sports, who is a great voice and resource on college basketball. Was also at the Final Four in Houston, where he saw San Diego State. And Jon, we appreciate you taking some time for us today. How are you going to remember San Diego State's run this year all the way to the national championship game?
A run that put San Diego State University on the map of college basketball's best. Not just, a good program, a winning program. Now the Aztecs are respected as one of the sport's heavyweights, at least in my eyes. Because when you think about this program, Jon Schaeffer, a win-loss record over the last 4 seasons of 108-23. When you win that many games, you deserve the nation's respect. But we both know that sometimes that respect doesn't get validated. In fact, most times that respect doesn't fully break through unless you do it during money time in March. The Aztecs silenced any critic that they may have had. There shouldn't have been any to begin with, but there were some. The Aztecs showed the world that this is a program that absolutely can win meaningful games in March, and showed the world that if you only judge off March, you're doing it wrong. Because it's so hard. It's so hard to win in March. San Diego State learned that both ways. They've seen the heartbreak. This year they saw jubilation. But in their jubilation on the other side, there's obviously a team that played well enough to win the game that's just falling short. Back-to-back one-point wins to advance to the national championship game. It was an incredible run for this program, this university. And what they have now shown everybody is that they belong at the big boy table. Not for 1 year, not for every other year. No, San Diego State, they aren't going anywhere. And it was a run that was rooted in toughness and experience, with guys who bought in and said, you are going to have to earn everything that you get from us. That's what this team represented. They were tough as that word can be.
Extremely well said. Jon, you think about Brian Dutcher and the successes he's having in this new era of college basketball that includes name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. What does it say about Brian Dutcher and his staff that they're having this level of success, considering all the instability that's presented itself over the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, it says that Brian Dutcher's got a great way about it, and that's the truth. He talked a lot about culture during the Final Four, and he didn't use it as a buzzword. He actually defined it in his life and in the program in saying culture is being at one place for 24 years. Brian Dutcher's never gotten tired of San Diego State, and certainly the Aztecs haven't gotten tired of him. They're both the best version of themselves with each other. And Jon, there's something to be said about it in 2023 college basketball, where a lot of these programs are going through coaching changes, where a coach might not be guaranteed next year. Heck, a player might not be guaranteed anywhere because that player doesn't, he likes to come in today, leave tomorrow. Nothing's given. Nothing's guaranteed in college hoops right now. Over 20% of the Division I players have entered the portal. But what he has shown is that here at San Diego State, we're going to make you a really fundamentally sound player. We are going to make you a great defender. And if you buy into what we do, and this is why the Final Four, this is why the run to the national championship game is so important. If you buy into what we do, here's what can happen. Here's what can happen. And we'll take transfers. They took a couple that impacted their team positively. No question about that. But I think what he has shown is that he's got a great feel and awareness of what his program needs to do to compete at a high level. And it might not come with the 5-star kid, or the kid that Duke or Kentucky or Kansas is getting. But let's be honest. How has a Duke done in recent years in terms of being able to be consistent? Like, it's really hard to be consistent and get those kids and win the offseason and all that. You've got to be able to have a great feel for your job. And I think back to I was listening to somebody give career advice one time, and they said, you've got to have a realization of where you're at on the ladder. I think Brian Dutcher understands where San Diego State is in the realm of college basketball, and that he's not going to try to portray the program as something it's not, because what it is more than good enough.
Really well said. John, you were there, front row seat for Lamont Butler's buzzer beater against FAU in Houston. Where does that moment rank for you among the all-time great moments in the history of the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it's surely top 10, and it could be top 5 or 6. It's going to hover around there, because there's so many different moments that we can talk about. But a Final Four buzzer beater, the first ever Final Four buzzer beater, in which the player who took and made the shot, his team was trailing before the shot was attempted. That's amazing to think about, how many great finishes there have been. But a lot of them have been in a tie game, John. So that ranks right up there. You know what I love about the moment is that it started with a stop. I think there's something poetic about that. They had to get a stop to get the basketball. They played clean defense. There's no way there was going to be a foul called. And that was great defense by the Aztecs. They won the game as a team. They said, look, 6-second difference. I got to tell you, John, for all the people out there who are like, yeah, 6-second difference, you play it out. There's a lot of coaches who actually extend the game there. A lot. In today's times, these coaches don't trust their kids to get a stop. They just don't. So they're going to play. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them either. But what they're going to do is they're going to say, you know what? We're down by 1. What are the chances that the kid's going to make both free throws? So many kids are missing free throws in those spots now. So I love the fact that they played it out. And then I just could not believe, watching Butler with the ball, it looked as though he was in big trouble. Because he wasn't getting the lane. He wasn't able to attack the rim. But the way he talks about the shot, he knew the whole time what was going to happen, or at least what he was going to be able to do if he wasn't given the lane. And he wasn't given the lane, and you're sitting there saying, is this guy even going to get a shot off? Sure enough, he did, and it ranks as one of the all-timers. I mean, how is that not top 5 or 6 in NCAA Final Four history? It's, in terms of buzzer beaters, it's second for me in the time. I've covered the Final Four. I've covered 5 of them. Now, I've covered college basketball very closely for the last 10 years. It immediately moves up to number 2 behind Chris Jenkins of Villanova. So if it's number 2 in the last 10, you got to think in the last 30 or 40 years, when we think about defining moments, Lamont Butler's got to be in there, in that top 5.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment. It'll be remembered, of course, in San Diego for forever. So, John, before you go, and you've talked about San Diego State's level of consistency and the type of player that they're looking to bring into the program. When you reach a national championship game, what do you think the other side looks like for San Diego State, whether it's this upcoming season or just the next 2, 3, 4 years down the road?
Well, it makes you so recognizable. A recruit's not going to have to look up what's going on with the program or what you've done lately. And it does so much from a resource standpoint. I don't know if everybody knows this, but if people do, here's a reminder. These NCAA tournament units that were just brought in by San Diego State that are going to be paid out to the Mountain West schools, you can bet your bottom dollar that San Diego State will get the highest percentage of those funds. So they're winning in the bank account. We're now in a world where NIL matters. You're telling me that they're not going to be able to get some more money off of this? Absolutely. Absolutely. Name, image, and likeness in college athletics is based on one thing. It's based on a family or a business wanting to get in the pool with the winners. With the winners. You're going to, if you haven't already, potentially have somebody who's interested in giving some NIL or assisting in NIL with San Diego State that previously wasn't thinking about it, that now is. That matters in college basketball now. Now, Brian Dutcher, what I love about Dutch is he's not going to change who he is. The 63-year-old, He just saw what his formula can do. He's not changing for anybody. Will he be able to be in the conversation with certain kids that they probably weren't beforehand? I think so, John. And I do think the amount of change happening out west with UCLA and USC saying we're done with the Pac-12, we're going to the Big Ten. There's some kids that are out west that are going to be like, I don't want to play at Northwestern and at Minnesota. Okay, I'll play out west. I'll play for San Diego State. You know what else this does? Like big picture, I'm not saying they're moving, but San Diego State will now be included. They'll be included in the conversation for other conferences who are looking to build. The Big 12's looking for ways to build. San Diego State just increased their appeal value. So they did everything and more with this run. It has unlimited mileage the next couple of years. San Diego State's not going anywhere. I have them in my way too early top 15. The people who don't are only doing that because their name is San Diego State. Look in the mirror. This program is not going anywhere, and they just found ways to grow.
The great Jon Fanta from Fox Sports, unbelievable resource for college basketball fans. Jon, we appreciate you doing it for us here in San Diego today.
Thank you, John.
All right, this is Reliving the Madness on Your View.
Reliving the Madness is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards.